Hello, friends. Imagine, for a moment, that every wound you've ever sustained, every betrayal you've endured, every fall you've taken isn't a mark of shame or failure. What if instead these very scars are cosmic blueprints, etched not to diminish you, but to design your destiny? What if the universe, in its infinite wisdom, isn't just watching your pain, but actively repurposing it? We live in a world obsessed with perfection, a digital facade where vulnerability is often hidden and weakness is deemed a curse. But what if the inverse is true? What if your breaking points are precisely where your true power is forged? What if the very fabric of existence, governed by an unseen hand, orchestrates a grand, almost unsettling alchemy, turning the lead of your past into the gold of your future? It is the very heartbeat of a cosmic truth woven through the annals of time, whispered by ancient prophets, and demonstrated by lives that defied the very logic of despair. Prepare to journey into the heart of this mystery, to uncover a divine strategy that has been at play since the dawn of creation. A strategy where God is, quite literally, turning your scars into stars. And by the end of this journey, you will never look at they will cease to be reminders of what you lost, and instead become beacons of what you are destined to become. This is not a tale of simple overcoming. It is a profound revelation of divine craftsmanship, where the master weaver uses the torn threads of your life to create a tapestry of unparalleled beauty and strength. Your pain, your past, your brokenness. These are not just how could the deepest cuts, the most agonizing betrayals, the crushing weight of failure possibly transform into something radiant, something powerful, something that illuminates not just your path, but the paths of countless others. To understand this, we must dive deep into ancient narratives, stories that echo with the very heartbeat of God's transformative power. We begin with a young man, a dreamer. His story begins not with a fall, but with a dream, a vision of future glory, of brothers bowing before him, of abundance and influence. But the path to that dream, it was paved with the sharpest edges of human cruelty. His own brothers, consumed by envy, conspired against him. They stripped him of his vibrant, symbolic coat, a garment of favor, and cast him into a pit. Imagine that moment, the dust, the darkness, the echo of their retreating footsteps, the crushing realization that those who should have protected you have betrayed you. This was his first profound scar, the wound of familial rejection, of being discarded by your own blood. But the pit was not the end. It was merely the first layer of the crucible. From the pit, he was sold into slavery, a mere commodity. Joseph, with his innate integrity and divine favor, rose to prominence within that household. He was diligent, trustworthy, excellent. It seemed for a moment that perhaps the worst was behind him. But then came the accusation, a lie so venomous, so baseless, that it ripped away his newfound stability. Potiphar's wife spurned, falsely accused him, and just like that, this was another scar, perhaps deeper than the first. The wound of injustice, of being wrongly accused, of your good intentions being twisted into malice. Years passed in that prison, years where hope must have flickered, where despair must have gnawed. He interpreted dreams for fellow prisoners, visions that came true, yet he remained forgotten, a ghost in the shadows of a powerful empire. The scar of forgotten. Think about your own forgotten promises, your own seasons of waiting where the world moved on and you felt stuck in a personal prison. Joseph's journey was a masterclass in this slow, agonizing process. But here is the profound truth. Every single one of those wounds, the pit, the slavery, the false accusation, the prison, the forgotten years, they were not random acts of cruelty. They were instruments in the hand of a divine arc. The false accusation purified his character, severing any lingering ties to worldly comfort. The prison taught him patience, discernment, and the profound power of interpreting signs, a skill that would later save nations. His scars were not merely endured, they were absorbed, transformed, woven into the very fabric of his being, becoming the unique qualifications for his ultimate purpose. Not a pampered courtier, not a seasoned general, but a forgotten prisoner scarred by life, yet refined by God. Joseph, standing before the most powerful ruler on earth, didn't hide his past. His scars spoke of resilience, of an unshakable faith, of a wisdom forged in the fires of adversity. He wasn't just interpreting dreams, he was a living testament to the fact that God takes the very worst life can throw. He became the viceroy of Egypt, second only to Pharaoh, orchestrating a monumental plan that saved not only Egypt, but also the very family who had betrayed him. His scar of betrayal became the star of salvation for his entire lineage. His wound of injustice became the star of unparalleled wisdom and leadership. His forgotten years in prison became the star of national deliverance. This isn't just a story, it is a living He is meticulously crafting you, shaping you, preparing you for a purpose far grander than you can imagine. Your scars are not the end of your story. They are the unique chapters that will define your glory. They are the secret ingredients in the cosmic recipe for your becoming now. Let's step into another profound narrative of transformation. A man born under the shadow of death, an infant cast into the river, saved by a princess raised in the opulent courts of Egypt, yet wrestling with a simmering rage and an identity crisis. This was Moses. His early life was a constant tension, an Israelite by birth, an Egyptian by upbringing. This internal conflict, this scar of a divided identity, drove him to In a flash of righteous anger, he killed the Egyptian, burying him in the sand. This act, born of a deep, unaddressed wound of injustice and a yearning for his people's liberation, forced him to flee. For 40 years, Moses, the eloquent prince, the man groomed for leadership, became a humble shepherd in the desert of Midian. 40 years, imagine that, the vast, silent wilderness, the the crushing weight of anonymity, of forgotten potential. This was his profound desert scar, the wound of exile, of self-imposed silence, of feeling utterly unqualified and utterly alone. What was God doing in those arid years? He was stripping away the Egyptian arrogance, breaking the self-reliance, chiseling away the impatience. He was teaching Moses dependence. It was in that desolate wilderness before a burning bush that was not consumed that God finally spoke. Not to the prince, not to the eloquent leader, but to the humble shepherd, the man who had lost everything that defined him in the world's eyes. And Moses' response, a litany of excuses. Who am I? What if they don't believe me? I am slow of speech and tongue. These were the echoes of his past. But God, the master alchemist, wasn't looking for perfection. He was looking for availability, for a heart transformed by the very scars that Moses thought disqualified him. The stutter, the history of flight, the self-doubt, these were not impediments. They were the very canvas upon which God would paint his power. The scar of his impatience became the star of profound patience as he led a stubborn people for 40 years. The scar of his past act of violence became the star of a lawgiver, delivering commandments that shaped civilization. Moses' journey screams this truth. Your perceived weaknesses, the areas where you feel most broken, those are often the very channels through which God's greatest strength will flow. Your history of failure is not a barrier. It is a testament to the raw material God can use to build something magnificent. It is in the brokenness that the light gets in, and it is in the light that the true star of your being begins to shine. As we continue this journey into the transformative power of divine intervention, consider the shepherd boy, the youngest, the overlooked, anointed king yet hunted like an animal. This was David, from the fields of Bethlehem, tending sheep, anointing oil dripping from his hair. A prophecy hung over him. The giant Goliath presented an immediate and terrifying challenge. David, armed with nothing but 5 smooth stones and unwavering faith, faced the towering epitome of fear, the scar of being an underdog, of being underestimated, of facing overwhelming odds, was thrust upon him. But this very vulnerability, this reliance on God alone, transformed into the star of incredible courage. The stone that struck Goliath's forehead was not just a weapon. It was a symbol of how God uses the seemingly insignificant to topple the seemingly insurmountable. But the victory over Goliath was merely the prelude to an even deeper crucible. King Saul, consumed by envy and madness, relentlessly pursued David, seeking his life. For years, David lived as a fugitive, hiding in caves. He was betrayed by friends, misunderstood by family, and slandered by his enemies. The scar of betrayal, of relentless persecution, of living in constant fear became etched into his soul. Imagine the loneliness, the despair, the moments of utter exhaustion. Yet in those caves, in those moments of profound vulnerability, David poured out his heart to God in psalms. His songs, born from the raw anguish of persecution, became stars of comfort and worship for generations. His scar of being hunted became the star of a man after God's own heart, a poet, king whose words touched eternity. Even when he had opportunities to take Saul's life, he refused, demonstrating a reverence for God's anointed, a purity of heart forged in the fires of This refusal to exact revenge, this radical trust in divine timing, was a testament to how his scars were not making him bitter, but better. His flight from Saul wasn't just physical, it was a spiritual refining. It taught him patience, dependence, leadership from the ground up, the brokenness of his personal life too, the tragic flaws, the moments of moral failure, the devastating consequences. The scar of his profound sin became the star of God's immense grace and forgiveness, a testament that even the deepest moral wounds can be healed and redeemed, leaving behind a profound understanding of mercy. David's life is a magnificent symphony of transformation, where every discord, every dark note, every painful silence contributed to a grander, more beautiful melody. His scars of rejection, persecution, and even personal failure became the constellation that illuminated his reign, establishing a legacy that stretched to the very Messiah himself. Your past failures, your painful rejections, your unjust persecutions, they are not disqualifiers. They are the very narrative threads God is weaving into your unique story of redemption and purpose. They are the background, a man righteous and blameless, blessed beyond measure, yet stripped of everything in a cosmic gamble. His story is perhaps the most harrowing testament to the brutal, yet ultimately redemptive power of suffering. In a single day he lost his children, his servants, his flocks, his wealth, and then his health afflicted with painful boils from head to toe, his friends, rather than offering the scar of incomprehensible loss, of profound physical agony, of false accusation from those closest to him. These were wounds beyond measure. Job sat in ashes, scraping his sores with a shard of pottery, his wife urging him to curse God and die. Despair, confusion, and a wrestling with the very nature of divine justice consumed him. He longed for an explanation, a reason for the crush, but there was no immediate explanation. Only the deafening silence of a seemingly indifferent heaven, broken only by the empty platitudes of his friends. This was the ultimate scar of cosmic bewilderment, of feeling abandoned by God and man. Yet, in the midst of this unimaginable desolation, something profound happened. Job did not curse God. He questioned, he lamented, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. He declared this unwavering stance, forged in the very fires of hellish suffering, was his emerging star. And then God spoke from the whirlwind, not to explain the fey of his suffering, but to reveal his own vastness, his sovereignty, his unsearchable wisdom in that encounter. Job's understanding was not just restored. He saw God not just as a provider, but as the incomprehensible creator of the universe. The scar of his limited human understanding became the star of profound divine revelation. And in the end, God restored to Job double what he had lost. His family was re-established, his wealth multiplied. But the true restoration was not just in the material, it was in the spiritual. Job's understanding of God was his scars of loss and pain became the stars of an unshakable faith, a deep wisdom, and a living testimony to God's ultimate justice and goodness. Even when it is shrouded in mystery, his story tells us that sometimes God allows us to walk through fire, not to consume us, but to purify us, to strip away our superficial understandings and to reveal himself in ways we could never experience in comfort. They are the very ground upon which God will reveal a deeper dimension of himself, turning your scar of bewilderment into a star of profound spiritual insight. Your pain has a purpose, a profound transformative purpose. And if you're finding this perspective resonant, if these ancient stories are beginning to illuminate your own journey, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. Your support helps. Now, let's confront the ultimate scar, the defining wound of human history and its unparalleled transformation into the brightest star of hope and redemption. We speak, of course, of Jesus. His life from birth was marked by the shadow of the cross. A king born in a stable, fleeing Herod's wrath, a carpenter's son teaching with authority. He healed the sick, cast out demons, yet his earthly journey was a relentless march towards the ultimate betrayal, the ultimate suffering. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. His ministry was often met with skepticism, hostility, and misunderstanding. The scar of rejection, of being misunderstood by those he came to save, was a constant companion. Then came the garden, the ultimate scar of anticipation, of bearing the weight of the world's sin before it even touched him physically. His closest friends abandoned him, one betraying him with a kiss, another denying him 3 times. The scar of betrayal, from his inner circle, etched itself deep. He was arrested, subjected to a sham trial, falsely accused, mocked, beaten, scourged. Every lash, every blow, every drop of blood was a scar being etched onto the very body of God incarnate. The ultimate scars of injustice, of physical torture, of humiliation were heaped upon him. And then, Golgotha, the hill of the skull, the nails driven through his hands and feet, affixing him to a cross, a symbol of ultimate shame and suffering. His last breaths were a test. The scar of crucifixion, the most profound, most agonizing wound imaginable, became the focal point of human history. His side was pierced by a spear, blood and water flowing, the final, ultimate wound. He died, was buried, and for 3 days, silence. The ultimate scar of death, of finality, seemed to have claimed the Son of God. But here, the alchemy of God, the ultimate scar of death was transformed into the ultimate star of life. The wounds in his hands, feet, and side, they did not vanish. They became glorious marks, proofs of his triumph, eternal reminders of his sacrifice. They are not scars of defeat, they are the stars of victory. His broken body, bearing the very marks of human cruelty, became the resurrected, glorified body. His ultimate rejection by man became the ultimate acceptance of humanity by God. His humiliation became the ultimate exaltation. His death became the ultimate source of life everlasting. Every single wound Jesus endured was not for nothing. It was not a sign of weakness, but the ultimate demonstration of power, love, and redemption. His scars are our stars. They tell us that no matter how deep your wound, no matter how profound your brokenness, no matter how final your loss seems, God has the power to resurrect, to redeem, to transform. He takes the very worst thing that could happen to you, and he redeems it for your ultimate good and his ultimate glory. This isn't just about overcoming, it is about divine metamorphosis. It's about understanding that the very things that tried to break you, the betrayals you faced, are not just pain points. They are lessons in discernment and profound empathy. The failures you experienced are not disqualifiers. They are stepping stones to humility and wisdom. Your scars are the unique constellation that forms your identity. They tell a story of resilience, of divine intervention, of a journey through darkness into light. They are proof that you have been through the fire and you have not been consumed. He is working in your life, right now, turning your ashes into beauty, your mourning into joy, your despair into praise. He is turning your scars into stars. And as you embrace this truth, as you look at your past wounds, not with shame but with newfound understanding, you will begin to see the extraordinary purpose woven into your ordinary existence. You will recognize that the very experiences that you are not just a survivor, you are a testament to divine alchemy, a living, breathing miracle of transformation. Your scars are not just visible marks, they are invisible stories of strength, courage, and the unwavering love of a God who sees your brokenness and still calls you beautiful, who sees your wounds and still calls you worthy, who sees your past and still calls you to a brilliant future. Let them illuminate your path, and let them guide others who are still navigating their own darkness. For in the grand tapestry of creation, it is often the mended places, the places that have been broken and healed, that hold the greatest strength and the most radiant light. You are a star, forged in the crucible of your own unique journey, destined to shine. All right, that is it for today's video. If